Welcome everyone to another Saturday Discord live class. My name is Goro Fujita. I'm your host today, and I'm super excited to have the team of King of the Sea today, directed by our very own Stéphane Berla. And with him, we do have Raphael, Pipu, and Lana over there. They're going to give some quick intros as well, but I'm super stoked to have you guys. Thank you so much for joining us today. And without further ado, take it away, Stéphane.
Okay, I am most very happy and afraid about this presentation because I don't used to do it, so I hope it will be okay. I'm very happy to be with my team. There is not everyone because it was already amazing to have you three, but we missed also some people. And so we will talk about King of Sea. It's a music video I directed this year. It was made with Quill and Blender. We made it at Brunch Studio. It's a very good animation studio. They do 2D animation and CGI also, and it was a very new experience for them. They knew, sorry for my English, they know me for a long time, and they know, they watch what I did with Quill and Blender, but we never worked together for the moment, and King of Sea was a good occasion to do that. So maybe I can launch the presentation. So, like I said, we have three. I need to talk about them because without these three companies, it was impossible to make King of Sea. First, there is Eddy. Eddy is a production company. They make animation and live action also. They represent me as a director since a long time. And when I talked to them about King of Sea, it was very new and special project for them, but they immediately loved it, and they really helped us also a lot. Then there is Brunch. Brunch is the animation studio of Eddy, and they work mostly together and sometimes on different projects. And the CNC is a French organism of cinematography. They help feature films, short films, and also music videos. And they finance King of Sea. So the most important is the team, because without the team, I can't do something. I can do some things, but I can't do King of Sea because it's an accumulation of talents. And you can see Lana here, Leah, she makes sets. She's very famous in the Quill universe. Guillaume, it's the CGI supervisor, Kevin, or intern. And Lana, Fong, and the production, Emily and Brice. And this guy, I don't know who is it. So it's an environment of work. We had a room for us with 7 computers. On the bottom right, you can see the singer when he tried the headset. It's Sandy Lavalar. It's the composer and the singer behind Kun. So there is other pictures. The beginning. So at the very beginning, I met Kun a long time ago. I think it's more than 10 years. It was at a film festival, and I really loved immediately the short film. There was a music video called I Live on the Moon, and it was a music video for Kun. And when I watched it, I love it. Immediately, I talked to the singer, and it was something like artistically we fell in love together because we both share the melancholic, dark poetry, and we had the same humor, the same. We listen the same music, and we love the same things. So we became friends. And for a long time, we didn't make anything together, just some short, some experiments. But we wanted to do a real music video for a long time, but we couldn't find the good project. Sandy made he had a project to play alone in a crazy place. Yes, Sandy really launched a guitar in space during one of his live. He really did it. The guitar was built specially for this project. And the reason why I show you this, because just 2 years ago, he recorded a video in an abandoned lighthouse called Tevnek. So he recorded a live video alone with a drone and with GoPro camera. And he played King of Sea for the very first time. It was half composed directly on the lighthouse Tevnek. Oh, it's a lighthouse. Yes. So when Sandy recorded this song and sent me the very first draft of the edit, immediately I thought I will make a film on this because I love the music and also I love the story about this old lighthouse. It's famous in Bretagne. In Bretagne, it's the left part of France. It's a region of the left part of France, and there is this lighthouse called Tevnek, and it's famous because there was a lot of garden keepers. Garden keepers that became crazy or died on it because it's a very dangerous place. Sometimes they can be stuck for a very long time with no food, and there is a lot of shipwreck all around this lighthouse. So there is a lot of story about this lighthouse, and when I heard the music and watched this, immediately I thought, okay, this time maybe we can make something for Sandy. So I started to create my very first designs on Quill and Blender. It was at this time just an experimentation. I just wanted to see what I could do. So I tried some pictures. It was the very first draft. And then I sent it with the first draft of the story to my producers. And they really love it also. And they told me, okay, we need to create a serious treatment. And I asked to the CNC, the cinematography organization in France, and to ask some funds. So I started to write the story. I wanted to make a story about sailors, and I wanted something very emotional. The music of Sandy, especially the studio version, there is different parts. The very first part is very soft, is very emotional, and progressively it's darker and darker, it's stronger and stronger. I wanted to make a story like this. The beginning will be on the memories. I thought about the films of Terrence Malick, and I wanted some moments, some small parts of memories, and progressively it will be stronger and stronger. And at the end, I wanted the ambience of the books I read when I was a kid. There is Maupassant, Lovecraft, Edgar Allan Poe, and I wanted something like this, but with the Celtic and Bretagne reference. I wanted a mix of, I wanted to create my prop myth with the stories of Tevnek, the Celtic creatures, and l'Ankou. Ankou is a creature from a legend from Bretagne. And also, I wanted to make a mermaid story, but I didn't want to make a woman with a fish tail. So I thought about the Greek origins of the mermaid and the Greek and Russians. It was the mermaid at this time were birds, a mix of birds and women. After that, I made a very first draft of a board. I always need, even if I work with storyboarders, I always need to draw myself at the beginning because it's the moment where I have ideas. And I can try the story before working with the storyboarder. So but fortunately, I worked also with Léa Moses. She's both a storyboarder, animator, and director. And she joined the team. She was the first one to join the team. And with her, we made the final storyboard. So she drew this storyboard. It's much more accurate, and we could change some things because the first draft wasn't very efficient all the time. So she made the shots, and when I watched this, I watched the final shot of my films. It was at this moment, it was already, I don't know the term.
Listen to the sea, singing for memories of thousands of lives, thousands of lives. Oh, mother, your waves roll into my soul. One day you'll call me.
Yeah, the storyboard was amazing. It was very a pleasure to work with Léa because she helped me to be more efficient on each sequence, and it's what I like with storyboarders. It's when I already have something solid, but we can break everything if it goes on the good direction for the story. So after I go on the characters, so it was the first idea was to make something like this. On the bottom, the top left, it was my first step, test. Bottom left, it's another test I made for another project. And on the right, it was something I liked, I wanted in King of Sea. I wanted something realistic, but also with, I don't know the term.
The handmade quality, that it looks handmade.
Yes, exactly,
yeah.
Exactly. So I started to create the characters. I don't want to be too long, so I will go faster maybe. Oh, yes, I show this because it was this, for people that don't know Quill and Blender, this is what we do in Quill. Quill, it's a 3D universe with headset. We build the characters with headsets, but they look like this because it's what we call cell shading. It's a toon effect, the toon rendering. Then you can see Guillaume Maillard on the top left. So it helped me to make a better shader on Blender because I used to create shaders in Blender, but they had some problems. The texture didn't follow the movements of my characters. So we worked with Guillaume to find a solution to quickly shade the characters. So when they move, the texture is following the movement, and we can go faster on this step after. So after, it looks like this. Before, after. Before, after. It's the same, but we can see the textures, we can see the volumes and the light. And what was difficult about creating the characters, they had to be animatable. And also, when we make a mistake of volume in Quill, it can be very, very weird in Blender. And mostly I had problem with the lips on the woman and the kids. And this is one of the reasons why every man have a bird. It's not only because I have a bird, it's also because I don't have to do the lips.
Nice.
So it was my inspiration for the hero. It was a mix of Jude Law, Viggo Mortensen, and also Sandy on the left. And at the end, it's like this. So for the father, it's I don't remember his name. It's a French actor in the beginning of Inglourious Basterds. Jessica Chastain. Boy. You can see I had some problem with the lips. It was horrible. I need to find something for my other projects because on previous projects I did the lips in a more cartoon style, but on this style it was a little bit difficult to create the character, but also to animate for the animators. And so it's long coup. And Willem Dafoe on the bottom right from the lighthouse. The monkey, for the birds, I was inspired by the texture of the monkey of Kubo. So after this step, it was quite in parallel. I did this. Because I had to create both the characters and the layout because the animators had to come and I was late, and so I had to do it in parallel. So one thing that is amazing with Quill for me for the layout as a director, because I made several things as a director, but in CGI, the layout was always something very anxious for me because I had to ask a studio artist to do it, and it was difficult to have control on it, and it's always very ugly. For my layout, I didn't work with the final themes because what you see actually, everything is not finished.
Okay.
I made some grass and some flowers and some trees very fast, just to say, okay, there will be this there, it will move a little, and that's all. So the animation, everything is provisory and ugly, but for me as a director, it's incredible because I can. We live in the world we will film, so we see immediately where we can put the camera. We can see immediately the problem of perspectives. I can change my mind and say, okay, these two cameras, I can do just one. So it's for me, it's just amazing to work with Quill and create my own layout. So the new animation is just my cameras and the movement, but I can do my mise en scène, my framing. It wasn't the good bird yet. So I made it very quickly.
Listen to the sea.
That looks so great. After this, once the layout is done, we can start the set designs. No, not the set modelings, because the set design were done in parallel. It's first I show you quickly some reference because I wanted something quite realist, and we need to feel really the Bretagne. So there is some reference of flowers and different things, the boat. It was for the tempête, the storm, excuse me. I took some reference from Miyazaki in Ponyo for the Under the Sea, because I wanted something very different. I wanted something realistic at the beginning, and then after I wanted both something very dark and at the end and some poetry and chillness.
Yeah.
Chillness. So I present you Raphael. She's on my left, but you can't see her right now. She started the designs and helped me to push and to materialize the sets. So it's Under the Sea. It's a black and white version and the color version. What I like with Raphael, she's not. She's very creative, very strong in creativity, and also she's very in a painting style. She's not. She don't like to be very accurate, and it's what we need on this project, because Léa Perrano can interpret things. So it's for the mood, the perspectives. And we have everything we need in this picture, but also Léa can interpret it. So we have different landscape. We have the Under the Sea. We have the port, the departure, and the creek. And at this time, it was more green in Britain, but it was before the canicule, the warming. Unfortunately, I had problem with the green in my scenes, so everything became more yellow and orange, just because I didn't know in Blender how to do better. I learned the software during the production.
Oh, really? That's awesome.
I learned a big part of the software, the rendering part, and I didn't know how to do vegetation. I never did before, so I had to learn. Then Lea Perano, that you know, joined us. She loved the designs and she interprets it in a more accurate, more in a Quill environment. And she made all the sets, maybe except the lighthouse.
This is beautiful.
Yes,
Wow.
yeah, really beautiful. One thing I hate is each time I show the pictures to someone, they always said, "Are you sure you want to do it in Blender? Because it's cool in Quill." She didn't do the animation because it was animation intern that is not there actually. That do it. We made it. Oh, and you can. Sorry for the music behind. Just when I recorded the session in Blender, I didn't know that there was the music I was listening. So what you see, it's Blender. And what I do after we create the assets in Quill, I import the assets in Blender in Alembic format, and we use the vertex colors to have the colors of the character and the vegetation. And it's very easy to do it. And I don't have to paint after my characters. It's already done. So it was one of the very first rendering essay test. So the animation. I wanted. I thought a lot about Laika films because it's more my culture than I don't really like CGI films usually. I enjoy it, but I don't fall in love for this. I always loved stop motions. And Laika is a big reference. And for King of Sea, also Peter and the Wolf. Peter and the Wolf from Susie Templeton here was a big reference because I wanted, and I had no choice. I couldn't have the animation of Laika with Quill animation because it's very complex. But I wanted to go in the style of Peter and the Wolf because there was something, it was both beautiful, delicate, but also very artisanal, very handmade.
Yeah.
Listen to the sea, singing for memories of thousands of lives, thousands of lives. Oh, mother, your words roll into my soul. One day you'll call.
So I would like to ask to Lana and Fong to, because I told since the beginning, and I want to stop that. Everybody wants me to stop, please. So if you have questions to Lana and Fong, please do it.
Yeah, I actually have a question. So I actually haven't seen you guys in the Quill community. So I was wondering if this was the first time for you guys to actually animate in Quill, and or if it wasn't, and how was your experience with this? We could start with Lana, maybe.
Okay. For me, it wasn't my first time. I already animated on Goodbye, Mr. Octopus.
Oh,
I
nice.
learned Quill during the production of Goodbye, Mr. Octopus, and I really loved it. And then after the studio, Branch Studio, which I was a 2D animator for, asked me if I could do like some Quill animation, and I say yes, I can. And then I just joined on the project. But completely, it's really different.
Yeah, actually, that was my first experience ever using Quill and using a VR headset. I've never worn a headset before this project. Actually, it all started in with you, a girl, in 2018. You went to Gobelin for masterclass. I don't know if you remember that.
Of course, yeah. You were there. I didn't know.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
I just entered Gobelin in that year, and we had this masterclass. And by seeing how, even if I didn't understand the whole workflow at that time, seeing that it was possible to animate and to use Quill in a very effortless manner,
Yeah.
it gave me hope that maybe one day if I have the opportunity, I would be able to do the same thing. So fast forward, when Branch asked me to join for the project, I was very anxious because first of all, I've never used a VR headset before. I don't know if my brain is going to explode or what. So I asked them if they're sure about that. They said, no, yeah, go for it. Stéphane is a very cool director. You'll be working with Lana, who you know. Everyone is very kind. So they gave me, I think, 1 week to
Wow.
try out the software with help from Lana and Stéphane, and just to get used to manipulating and to use getting used to the user interface. So anytime that I feel like I'm not doing something very effortlessly, then it must mean that I'm not doing something well, and that I'm not making the right decisions. Then I can always come to Lana and Stéphane and other people too, Lea too, to ask. And for me, I really like stop motion. And it's my dream to do stop motion. But also, as you know, I've never had the chance to work on it professionally. And this is sort of like a dream because I was able to get inside the set and like just zoom in and just do it very delicately and zoom out and just like, it feels like the next best thing to stop motion for me.
Yeah,
It's very cool.
The thing
That's
that
awesome.
you can like zoom in and be like at the same size of the character and like go in really into the detail. It's really interesting.
Yeah, and then sometimes you turn and then there's like a skull.
Oh, yeah.
So,
One thing to say on Fong, because she didn't make VR animation yet, but when I watch her work, immediately I knew she will do it well, because both Lana and Fong are very strong animators in 2D animation. Lana does also CGI, and she made. I watched her work in Quill, so I knew she would be very, very great. But for Fong, I wasn't anxious at all because she made already some sculptures. She makes sculptures, 2D animations, and thousands of different things. She makes music, and when I met her with her energy and everything, and the fact that she wanted to test the headset before, I wasn't anxious at all. And she was amazing because she had 5 days only to learn the software. At the end of the 4th day, she started. She asked me if she could start on the film.
that's awesome. So I think that's the power of, excuse me, let me drink some water. I think that's the power of like these VR workflows, right? That it's actually really easy to pick up. And the hard part is actually to bring the skill to the table. So if, Fong, for example, you are an animator, you're a sculptor, you have the skill, so you end up just using a tool, right? And I feel like Quill really enables you to apply your skill much quicker than other software packages. I mean, it took me literally a year to learn Maya. Quill took me also around a week, right? A few days, and you actually know how to use it. So from what I've seen, you haven't used like the rig technique, right? Is it all frame by frame animation?
Yes, I refused to use layers.
Hmm.
At the beginning, Lana suggests me to do layers animation with transforms, transforms pivots.
Yeah.
But I didn't want to do it because if we do it, we go on the CGI. We are in competition with CGI. CGI has strong rig systems, and I didn't want to use a weak rig system to do the animation because we just do something less efficient, less than CGI. And the reason why I wanted to work with 2D animators, it was to have something different, to have a 2D sensation. And I wanted to have the puppet styles. And what you just watch, actually, it's a shot that was done by Lana. And for if you show this, the final, especially the final result, if you show this to a CGI animator, it can't do it because they don't have the tools. And if you want to have the tools, you have to do it with very complex systems, and it will look like a Marvel, something, a very technical thing. And
Right.
oh, what I did. Okay, I went too far. The animation of the mother here, it's a very 2D animator thing.
There's
You
some.
can see
Okay.
the 2D animator.
Yeah, that's
And
awesome.
it was what I wanted for this film, and she gave me this. Honestly, when I imagined this scene, I wasn't sure it was possible. It's technically possible, but I wasn't sure of the result in Blender, and it was a very, very good surprise.
Yeah, so there's actually a very related question to that in the chat. Labrousse is asking, if you had a bigger budget for this short film, in retrospect, would you have made it any differently, maybe using other techniques or other tools?
Oh, me personally?
Yes.
Oh, actually, I didn't. Yeah, well, I don't think. I think it depends on the story. If I have a very big budget, I can do the feature film I want. Probably I will go on stop motion because I love stop motion, and because if I want to do something real, I will go on this. But I think I will not have a stop motion budget immediately. So Quill is a very efficient and creative, and it's a tool, an amazing tool to go in stop motion vibes, and I can do some different things with this.
Yeah.
And it's an amazing tool, but at the moment, if I want to do real things, I do also live action. When I can do live action, I do it because it's real.
Cool. All right.
So we go in reality, the lighting.
Yeah.
Oh, did you have? Maybe because I'm sorry, I talk too much. And do you want to talk technique and layers and this kind of things about animation?
Oh, actually, yeah, I do have just one remark because Stéphane asked us to use the keys and not the transform keys to have more kind of a stop motion way of doing things. But he also wanted all the hair to be animated. So it's really hard to do it with the keys when there's a walk cycle because when you hit play and just with the grab tool, just use the grab tool to make the hair moving, it's really hard when there's a big movement. So what I actually did is I used the transform, especially on this shot, I use the transform keys the same way that as I would use the keyframe. Like every time I put a new transform key and I didn't put the pivot at the correct place, I just dragged the thing as if it was on the same layer. So this way I could just disable the transform keys and just animate the hair on spot, and then I will just grab my head and just replace it every time. So yeah, but
I didn't ask Raphaël, she's there, about the sets. Tu veux rajouter
Non,
deux?
je peux dire deux, trois petites choses si tu veux.
Ouais.
Ouais, mais ça comment tu peux mettre ceci, comme ça. Yeah. So me, sorry, I have nothing to say about Quill because I was really at the beginning, I'm really like a 2D person. I tried the cask and I was feeling really bad. So I was like, it's a shame, I cannot. But also I was in the 2D part and it was really interesting because the first image he did like was already really like he knew what he wanted to do. So me, it was more like to find which kind of like comment on dit des alga and boats and type of like some kind of atmosphere, but like which kind of like flowers and yeah, more like where you plant the rocks and everything, which kind of trees and something like that. So it was really interesting because to see how and then to see how because Stéphane really knew what he wanted to do and which kind of stuff he wanted. So it was like it was only 12 days for me, no, 10 days for me, so it was really quick. But yeah, it was really interesting, and it's like marvelous to see how the rendering of like in Quill, it's like amazing. So yeah,
But also you made this drawing on a big sheet of paper, right?
yes,
That's right.
Oh, yes.
Me, I'm working on 2D like a big sheet of like a paper, like a A3, voilà, like a.
So this is actually traditional work, not digital?
Yes, it's traditional drawing.
Yes, that's awesome. I love it.
Because
I had a problem with Raphaël. And it's an amazing problem, but I had a problem because I used to work with artists. Sometimes they do, so when I work with artists, most of the time they do retakes and Photoshop. But with Raphaël, she's so creative. When I say one thing, a detail on the picture, like, I don't know, maybe you could just modify this, she changed everything. She redraw everything on a big, and I don't know, you made lots of big drawings, and each drawings is amazing, but it was crazy because I just wanted to change a small thing, and because she's very strong creative. She is also a director, and she made actually she presented an amazing short film, and it was very good, very great to work with her.
That's awesome. So
to work with Stéphane.
so now you have a lot of physical pieces that you could frame and put in your studio, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, that's awesome.
On the lighting part, so I didn't want an animation feeling because I knew that my Blender, I had to learn the software, and I wanted to go from real things, and I didn't want animation references. So there is a lot of reference from Terrence Malick. So I don't know the name in English, Tree of Life, and so I try to go fast. It's some reference and the result. Sometimes I change, but I try to stay in the same mood.
So did you do the lighting yourself?
Yes.
Wow, nice.
Yes. At the beginning, I wanted to use Eevee because for a long time I use Eevee. For people that don't know Blender, there is two rendering engines. The first one is Eevee. It's a real-time rendering engine. It's very great. I use it a lot for years, but it's very limited. I did it because my computer was very weak and I had no choice. But during this production, Blender 3, a new version of Blender came, and the rendering engine of the second rendering engine was faster. The name is Cycle.
Cycles, yeah.
Cycle. And I was the film was ambitious. I worked in a animation studio, so I thought that we could change the rendering engine. It was some fight, no, not fight. I had to deal a little with the studio.
Challenge. It was a challenge.
Because suddenly they had to give me lots of computer, lots of rendering engine. But it was quite okay because I worked on a powerful computer, but it was 3070 RTX. If you want to see what it is,
Yep.
It was a good computer, but not the strongest one. And just at the very end of the film, I had 7 computers during 2 weeks, and I had my own render farm, and I rendered everything in 2 weeks.
Nice.
And I did everything in real time because I didn't have anybody for the compositing. So what you see is what I had in Blender.
Really?
Yes.
That's amazing. So you didn't have this is straight out of the renderer, you didn't do compositing?
I will show you something this. Okay, it's what I have in Blender. So I will activate the rendering. So it's a GPU real-time rendering engine. It will take some seconds to come, and you will understand. Even the fog is in real time.
Wow.
It's possible because of the new GPU rendering, and also because the software is very more powerful, and also my scenes were very simple. I had 3 shaders maximum most of the time. I use the same shaders and same texture for everything. And when you watch on the right, there isn't a lot of things. I wanted this production to be very, very, very simple. And it was difficult to explain to the studio because they are very, very strong. Oh, it's my shader.
Really? Yeah. That's it? That's awesome.
No, it's more complex.
Okay.
There is this. And this was done by Guillaume, the CGI supervisor.
Yeah.
Because it was what I explained. It was to have the texture stuck on the movement of the character.
There's a problem with Blender. Blender has trouble to see the second UV map. So Quill actually exports 2 UV maps, right? And in Maya, you can just switch the UV map. But in Blender, for some reason, it doesn't read the second map, and that's why it slides, right? The texture.
And the studio branch developed something to automatize the maximum the workflow between Quill and Blender.
Yeah.
It was quite in development, so some parts were very cool, and some parts were we need to work more on it. But I really had to explain to everybody that I wanted this production to be very, very simple, because a CGI studio doesn't understand simple things because they had to do all the time the same things, and they are very efficient for this. But for new things, this kind of film needs to be very arty. So there was no compositing, real-time rendering engine, and there is basically very few people that work on it because it was simple.
That's awesome.
So the rendering compositing, it was color grading. It was one of my a friend that took this picture. At this moment, I was working. There was too much sun in the room. So I found and I wanted to send the message that I need a darker place. So I think the image was efficient for that. I put this, I don't know, because I don't know what to put in the rendering part, but I used my pictures were EXR pictures
Yeah.
with Cryptomat. I just discovered the Cryptomat power. It's amazing. It's the first time I use it. Cryptomat, it's layers inside CGI software, and you can, in the compositing or grading, you can select each object. We don't see it there because I did it too late and there is nothing. But my scene was very simple. There is a few layers because I didn't have a lot. It's After Effects. And I didn't have, my pictures was quite finished. And in After Effects, I just add, it's not there because I didn't have the element at home. But there is a flare here. So there is one layer of flare. I did it with, sometimes with the plugin optical flare. Sometimes
that one is great. Yeah, I love optical flares.
Videos. Excuse me?
I love optical flares. It's really good.
But it's difficult to use. Most of the time, I prefer using stock shots because it's more real.
Yeah.
The problem of stock shots is you have to find the good angle and the movement camera. So most of the time, I try to use stock shots. And each time I had to use optical flare, it was very complex because by default, the presets are very ugly, and it was long to develop my own presets. So I try to mix both. Maybe by shot, I think I can add sometimes five different flares at the same time. One with optical flare and 4 with stock shots. And what is really cool with EXR, we don't see it. I can choose in compositing each part of the picture. I can select the eyes, the hair, the hand, the tree, everything. And if I want to change the color, it's possible. And it's very, very fast. Everybody here said you have to use Nuke, another compositing software, very, very strong and powerful. But I didn't know very well Nuke, and I knew I didn't need so complexity. Because with After Effects, I can do I need just simple things. So it's better to use simple tools. The production part, I can't talk a lot because they are not there. I just put this. I don't know what is it.
Nice. Looks complex. Looks important.
I was the bad guy in this production because I always forget to connect on these things. It's very important when you have a team. But I don't use to use. Actually, usually I'm director and I don't use these plannings. But for the animators, for everybody else in the team, it was very important because they had the listing of all the scenes, all the assets. Without this, we can't do the film because they book people with plannings and all of this. But I always have a problem with this kind of tools. So. And also, Branch Studio has a pipeline, and I try to use a little the pipeline. Not all, because it could limit the creativity of the film. Like I said, I wanted things to be simple, and it was a different workflow. And to finish, just I put this because I didn't know what to put. It was after all these months of work. I'm sorry I don't have a lot of pictures. It's not just me because it was what I found this in my phone this morning, and I wanted to finish on the screening because it was a gift at the award at the very end. So now, if you have question, ask to Raphaël, Lana, and Fong, and I stop talking.
So I have a question about the production time. Like, how long did it take from start to finish?
So the whole production was very long. It was 8 months. Yes.
That's not very long if you compare it to traditional production, right? Like in like a length of this music video, if you use Maya with like a pretty large team, it usually takes over a year. So then my second question is, if it's 8 months, how many people touched this project?
I think it's something like 8.
Yeah.
See?
Yes, 8. There is 2 animators, but not, of course, not during 8 months.
Yeah.
The reason why it took 8 months, there is 30%, it's my fault, I think, because at the beginning, I wanted to work alone. I wanted to try things. I wanted to try my characters. I wanted to learn. And the very last part of the film, I decided to do the rendering and lighting alone also. I didn't have I didn't have the knowledge for this, but if I follow the planning, I would not have made the rendering will be, the lighting will be different. It will be the deal I had with the studio is okay, we go on cycle, but I do it. And if we stay on EV, the image will be not nice, and it will be faster but not nice. And I had to learn. So I had to learn at the beginning, at the end. So I'm very responsible of the time it took. And I'm very happy with that because it was my responsibility and I was okay with that. And the number of persons, there is 2 animators, so Lana and Fong. There is also Kevin, an intern. He made some assets and the animation of the vegetation. The vegetation. There is also Raphael for the design, Leah Moses for the storyboard, and Guillaume for the CGI supervisor for the super technical things. I don't know, I don't understand everything. And Leah Pierano for the modeling part. And I think it's and me also.
Yeah.
And the production.
You're not important, right?
The production.
Now, this is amazing. Yeah, I mean, considering the small team, in 8 months, to me, this is still very, very fast. I think, this new workflow is just like leapfrogs a lot of steps that you have to do, and even when I did Skate Chickens, like I was like amazed how fast you can move with a VR infused workflow, right? So, questions to the animators, actually, to Pipu and Lana, like how many shots did you animate, like multiple shots a day, or was it more like 1 shot a day? Of course, it depended on the duration of the shot, but usually, it takes multiple days to do a shot, right? So I was wondering, like, the time frame of like how you guys managed your time for shots.
We had a quotas of 3-second clean animation per day.
That's like, yeah,
animation for one
that's
day.
fast. Yeah.
Especially if you have like more than one character in the scene. But I think we quite managed to do that.
That's great.
But actually, for me, the most challenging part was when the mother actually go into like little dust pieces. Yeah, I think it was like 1 week and a half for only these shots. And it was supposed to took me only 3 days, so it was a lot of time.
And something also, they both had to learn again the software because Lana works on Quill, but at the beginning you have to find the good style of the film and also to go back in this kind of animation, and Fong had to learn. So maybe we were not at 3 seconds at the beginning, but maybe at the end you were at 2 seconds.
Yeah. No, but also it's,
it's the opposite.
It's also about putting effort in the right place. Because at first I think that we were just animating straightforward, and then when Stéphane gave us retext, it was very difficult because then we have to like correct every single frames, and it was very time consuming, very tedious. So you validate the blocking, then we just put more in-betweens, and it was like really, it goes faster. And then.
But I think it was necessary at the beginning to find the style of the film.
Yeah.
So we had to make errors, test errors, and at the very beginning we had to find I couldn't validate a blocking at the very beginning before validating some shots, some final shots.
Yeah.
So the first shots, it was learning, but also finding the good style to be okay for the next. After, okay, we know what it will look like also in Blender, so it's okay. We can do blocking, and it will be okay.
That's great. So basically, when blocking, you mean like you will have a few keyframes first, and then you end up approving, and then you just do the fine tuning, right? Because I know very well how painful it is if you already like wiggled the cloth or something, you know, and then you have to go back. You basically have to delete everything again, right? And is it Kuhn, the musician? Was he involved at all, or was he like more like you do your thing and then surprise me, or how was the collaboration?
It was more like this. He was very frustrated. I'm not sure.
Frustrating.
No, because I used to do a lot of music videos. I think this one is maybe I made 17 music videos.
Oh wow!
And I know how artists can be. I'm always I love the artists. I love when they are a little bit involved in the creation, but it can be also very dangerous. Because they can be sometimes paranoid, sometimes they have new ideas I didn't have and they break my heart. But it can be because it's interesting because they have some distance and it's important because it's a film for them, but they have to trust me because sometimes if they are too involved, they can be they think it's important to them to say things, and they at the moment they talk too much, and I can't. I have so many decisions to take. I need to have just some essential things.
Yeah.
So he watched things every 3 weeks, something like this. And all the time he sent me message, what happens? But when I sent something, it was strong, it was lots of things.
Okay, then that's cool. So most of the times he was like, yeah, keep going, it's awesome, or?
Yes, he was. He just had some problems. I listened him most of the time. One thing I didn't listen him, he wanted, so the main character looks like Sandy. He has the same big hair, the bird, everything. And I did it for purpose. But there is one thing. Sandy has green eyes. The character has blue eyes. Immediately, Sandy tell me why he has blue eyes. I have green eyes. Maybe you could change it. And I didn't want because it was some work, and I don't know why. I thought it was cool. It was ocean. He had a blue sweat, and I wanted to keep it blue. And it was my little power. Just I want this character to be different just because he has blue eyes.
That's funny.
But most of the time I listen him.
Yeah, that's great. I have a question to like all you guys artists, like Raphael, people, and Lana. When starting with Raphael, when you actually do the art, have you listened to the song? Do you listen to the song while you design?
Yeah. Of course. I watched the animatic and the song and all the reference and everything. So it was like to feel the atmosphere, but. For me, it was more like Stéphane knew really where he wanted to go. So it was more like I want that type of stuff, and I was doing I was proposing stuff. But he was saying me, okay, no, this is not good. Maybe this, and so we were working together during 2 weeks. But he was like, he really knew what he wanted to do because he has the image and everything in his head. So it was for me, it was more like Stéphane who gave me
guidance.
So, guidance. But of course, I was listening to music and everything.
And I imagine for you guys as animators that like you probably need the music to really feel the impact.
No, actually for me, I listened to the full song only 2 times.
Really?
So the first time when I came to the studio to meet Stéphane and to watch the animatic, at that time we still had in France everyone has to wear the mask. So we came in and I watched it, I put it on, and I started crying, and I was happy that I had the mask on. Nobody should see it because I was thinking, wow, this is so cool and so strong, and I'm just a sucker for these kind of stories. When we started animating, sometimes I didn't want to. This is totally selfish. I didn't want to spoil the final experience of listening to a song and seeing the music. So I put on something similar. So I listened to a lot of like Radiohead and lots of post rock music. And sometimes Stefan said, "Oh, but Paul, you didn't animate to the music because at this moment there's this beat, and then you have to like make this movement." And sorry, I was.
Oh, I understand. Because the animator add every part of the song inside the scene. We prepared all the scenes with the small part because it's a music video. We don't need to be too focused on the music on the sync with the music, but sometimes it's important. And so
you mean when you say scene, you mean inside Quill, right?
Yes.
Yeah, for me, what I did is because sometimes the parts were really short and it was like a really repetitive kind of music. So sometimes I was sorry Sunday, I was a bit tired of like listening to it like in loop. So I just put some mark, like I did a whole new layer with just some keyframe to put like, okay, the beat is here, and the beat is here. So I would know, okay, so I need my action to actually go in this spot, and this spot, and this way.
I love that you use keyframes as markers. That's great. Yeah.
Like looking at the graph.
Yeah.
That's cool. That's a cool technique. Any funny stories that during production that you liked, like any memorable moments that you would like to share?
Yeah,
No.
like when I do the double tap on the mask because I didn't want to remove it, so I could use the camera.
Oh.
Yes, it was very funny because Fong never took off the headset, and so she watched us with the cameras inside.
Yeah.
But it was very weird because we didn't know where to watch, and I think we didn't but I wanted to put eyes, to draw eyes on the headset because I wanted to watch something.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, I actually still to date, probably because mainly I use the original Rift, right? Like I do have the Quest as well, but I'm so used to that looking up and looking through that gap, right? So I even still do that with a Quest as well. Like I know that I can turn on the pass-through, but if somebody comes in, I'm like, what? So yeah, it also helps that I have a very flat nose bridge here, so I have a fairly big gap here, so I can actually look through. But
I ruined a bit my glasses. There's a bit of marks here. I don't know if it's from the light or the headset, but yeah,
definitely.
Yeah,
I ruined my glasses too.
Yeah, too.
At the end, it was like.
Oh yeah, because you put it on and do you have to put the glasses in first and then you put on the mask?
Yeah, sometimes it was like doing both at the same time.
Yeah.
Like put the glasses inside and then put the mask with the glasses.
Yeah, I used to have glasses too, so I know the struggle. But I lasered them, so that was a good choice, like for me. At least, yeah. This was awesome, guys. This was beautiful to watch. And for the people that haven't seen the music video, make sure to watch it. I linked it in the event. I will also link it in the chat one more time so you guys can watch it. A beautiful work, guys. And thank you so much for running this behind the scenes today. We're at time, so if you don't have anything more to share, I would say thank you again for running this class today, and see you soon.
Thank you to you, Goro, for this session. It was amazing.
Cool. Thank you, guys.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.